Entering the Mayo experience.
That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This for UFC Fight Night Saint Petersburg. We're in Russia, Mother Russia. And I wouldn't be able to do this without my co-host, Cody Saftic. Because if anybody... Oh, by the way, we have a new desk.
There's a new desk here, right?
These are the benefits that you get for watching the video as opposed to listening to a podcast.
Whenever
here.
Paul says like and give the show a comment and a like, things like that lead to a better desk, Paul.
New desk. Honestly, it's worth you giving up the podcast right now, checking out the desk, coming, looking at the desk. It's a nice looking desk.
Yeah.
It fits the room really well. It's not like we're sitting at patio furniture anymore.
I didn't want to say anything about the old desk, Paul. But,
like the old desk is at the door. You can have the old desk if you want
right,
it. It is.
It's actually
if you can find a way to get that thing out of here, it is all yours. I'm sure Pat will be completely fine.
Pat will probably even sign it for you if that's your desire.
So we are in Russia right now. Or we
are not in Russia right now.
But we will be in Russia for the UFC's card coming up this weekend. People who are relatively new to the scene, haven't watched a lot of ACB, ACMAT, M1 Challenge. Let it be known, if you're not Russian and you're in Russia, you are getting no breaks. You don't get any sort of breaks. If your opponent is a takedown specialist, you are flat on your back until you get your own ass up. If you go to decision, shit happens. Things go really, really squirrely in Russia. Maybe the UFC being there, maybe it'll be a little bit above what we've grown to accustomed to in some of the more regional promotions. But like, this is something you have to think about. We'll talk about this as we go through this card. A lot of these fights, like I've written down all of the inside the distance props. Most of them are in the minuses. So most of these fights, good for them or good for the people involved in it, that they don't have to deal with any sort of,
judge's decisions,
any sort of crazy decisions or anything else like that. But most of them are expected to be finished inside the distance. But then there's a few spots that you're just going, oh boy. Like, we'll talk about them when we get there. One of them that really jumps off the page before we even get to it is like NAKAMURA versus Sultan ALIEV. If this was in America, I'm feeling much better about NAKAMURA's chances. In Russia, I don't like his chances. But yeah, like I think it's going to be a close fight anyway. If it's going to be close, we're in Russia.
Yeah, Russian home cooking, maybe.
Yeah, what is the whatever? Either way, before we get to any of that, last week's winner was somebody by the name of Jovoc, JOVOC. Congratulations! There is $20 DK in your account. I believe it has already been passed over. Cody had told me that all I have to do is tee him up, and he will tell me what this week's contest involves.
Well, in light of us being in Russia and a fight, maybe in another sport, from a famous Russian athlete, Alexander Ovechkin, 2 punches, buddy. I'm sure you've seen the fight, Paul, from Carolina. It was just a bye. All the same, Ovechkin with the big win. I think everybody's kind of have seen the video. So the question this week is, if you were to take any pro athlete, whether it be your favorite pro athlete or any pro athlete you would think, this guy, Alexander Ovechkin, let me tell you something, natural athlete. He's a great hockey player because that's what he plays. But remember, he went to like some golf tournament, never played golf before, just smacks the ball, drives it straight down, hole in one. There's, again, video online. If the guy would have just fought his entire life from a small kid, he'd be a fantastic fighter. So tell me your athlete. Some people have said over the years LeBron. Personally, I don't think LeBron can take a punch. I think a guy like Ray Lewis or Brian Urlacher, much better answers. Shaq, maybe too big, and can't make 265. But in the comments section, which athlete would you have liked to have seen dedicate their lives and would have made an impactful MMA fighter? And you got to give the show obviously a like, leave the comment, leave your DK handle, and you can be like Chovac or Jovac.
It's Jovo.
Jovac.
Jovoc?
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 I'm sure we're going to be mispronouncing a lot of the names on this card, so just get used to it right now.
So, obviously, give the episode a like. Nothing can be done without that. Leave your DK handle in the comment section on YouTube. And number 3, tell us which athlete would be a world-class fighter.
Which one's yours, real quick, before we jump into it?
Oh, boy. Really, off the top of my head here.
Zdeno Chara?
Zdeno Chara, he has
His dad was the Greek Olympic coach for freestyle wrestling. Like,
yeah, and the guy eats like boiled chicken breasts for fun. Like
he tossed around Brian McCabe like Brian McCabe
he's got
was
an
not
insane
even
reach.
existed.
Like he has all of the intangibles already. There's a reason why nobody in the NHL fights.
He's 42.
Zdeno Chara. Nobody, because the people who have hardly lived to tell the tale about it. So yeah, I guess because I was kind of lazy, we'll go with Zdeno Chara.
Fair enough.
Let's get into the action here. We have Alistair the Reem Overeem taking on Alexei Oleinik. Reem is minus 250 and Oleinik is plus 210. On DraftKings, they are 8,900 and 7,300 respectively. What's your take here, Cody?
Honestly, there's always going to be the path to victory. They are heavyweights. It is Alexei Oleinik. He does find a way, but I'm struggling to find how he doesn't just get demolished on the feet, probably in the early going, maybe midway through the first round, near the end of the first round. He's always going to have trouble with superior athletes, and he's always going to have trouble with people who are better strikers than him, better wrestlers than him. Where his bread and butter is the fight hits the ground at some point. He gets on top of you. He gets on your back. He gets in a scarf hold position, whatever the case may be. His name is the boa constrictor for good reason. The guy has a phenomenal grip strength, and that's kind of where he's made his money. All of those submission wins over the course of a lengthy career. But this guy takes damage, Paul, and you can't overlook that. He's got a hell of a chin, and he's willing to go out there and suffer to get the victory. But now that he's getting older, he's undoubtedly very slower. When he takes on sharp, precise strikers standing, he's going to get chewed up. Curtis Blades was able to just be the faster guy, the rangier guy, the better striker. He's not going to take down Curtis Blades. What's his avenue there? No avenue. He's going to lose. Against Mark Hunt, okay, he's going to have to take down Mark Hunt, a guy who has traditionally very poor takedown defense, so it is plausible. But he's going to get chewed up standing. He gets chewed up standing, but he's able to take down Mark Hunt. This fight is the exact same. The fight with Daniel Malanchuk was the same thing. He gets chewed up standing, or he's able to take you down. In that fight, he does get the takedown, but unable to get the submission. The fight eventually he's going to get back standing. He's no good. He'll wing punches. I'll give him that. He seems to have some okay power. He'll just throw an overhand right against a guy that's traditionally maybe been chinny in Alistair Overeem. I wouldn't say it's impossible that he clips him with something, hurts him. That leads the fight to getting to the ground. But if it takes him 3-4 minutes to secure that takedown, he's going to take a lot of damage in that period. And I think Alistair Overeem takes him out. I think Overeem still got a little bit left in the tank. I think he's 38 years old. Not too bad for a heavyweight. Yeah, he can't take a great punch. They're heavyweights. And there's no denying that he is a superior striker. He showed in his last fight he's not shot to bits. His losses are when he fights the absolute best guys in the division. And this is a short notice replacement fight. Oleinik was not supposed to be in the spot. He's getting this because he's the local Russian heavyweight that's willing to step up. But Overeem's a favorite. I get it. 8,900. He's got a high plus side. Oleinik's always tempting, buddy. He's always tempting. 7,300. If this guy does win, he scores a lot of points. However, again, when I play the fight to myself, he's going to struggle getting the takedown, and he's not going to be able to stand for a prolonged period of time. I believe he's in trouble.
I agree with everything you said, except for the fact that Oleinik was taking on Mark Hunt in Moscow last time out. All of a sudden, money starts pouring in on Alexei Oleinik.
A lot of money.
A lot of money started pouring in. The line just starts crashing, and all of a sudden, Mark Hunt gets absolutely steamrolled in the first round. Like, I don't know. We're in Russia. There's greasy shit that goes on all the time, and that worries me. Everything that you said about it, yeah, of course. A better athlete, an ability just to maintain range. Like Overeem is a stud as long as you can't take him down and negate that, or as long as you can't land the big one. You land the big one. His chin has obviously shown in the past that he can't take it, but like Oleinik, the type of strikes that Oleinik throws are not gonna be anything that Alistair Overeem hasn't seen before. It's something that he's always been kind of used to, and it's fighting these kind of dodgy, slow, unathletic heavyweights. Like that's where he's made his bread and butter over the course of his life. But I'm just saying, if you start seeing money piling in Saturday morning before this fight happens, maybe start thinking about doing a little bit of hedge, because I think we're in Russia. Dirty shit is going to happen. We're in the place where these types of fixes happen, man.
Sure.
And if you have It depends on like what you're wagering here. If you're wagering $100 as a standard unit type of thing, okay, that's fine. If you have like your entire mortgage shelled out on it, Alistair Overeem, like let's ease the brakes a little bit. We are in Russia, so settle down.
Yeah, okay. Well, nonsense. Well, this is a true factual story. I'll just get it out of the way here so we can talk about all these other fights, and we've got it out. But and you'll remember the most of this. The year was 2014. Russian prospect Shaughnessy fought for Bellator. Guy was a stud. He absolutely smoked Cody Bollinger. His ground and pound was ferocious. Had like an 11-1 record. Guy was badass. He fights Pat Curran. He looks aight in the beginning. He gets caught in like a sneaky little guillotine choke. Is what it is. The guy's got a tremendous upside. He's still young. He's a very good fighter. Combat Sambo specialist. World champion. Guy's going to be sick. His next fight, he took on a guy by the name of Fabricio Guerrero. He came into the fight as a 3.5-1 favorite. Now, the word was that a lot of money was coming in against Shaughnessy, especially out of the state of New Jersey. So it kind of had gotten tipped off a little bit. So Shaughnessy comes into this fight. Now this card's very notable. I want to just be sure I bring it up. It's very notable because it was Bellator 120, which is notable because it was the company's first pay-per-view. So this was a prelim fight. So if this was a regular Bellator card, there wouldn't have even been pricing for the prelims. But it's a pay-per-view, so they offer pricing for the entire card. Also, if you were to put a large sum of money on a fight that was only a 4-fight Bellator main card, which is tradition, you'd be alerted. But it was a buried prelim. He comes in this fight and he just falls into a Kimura. And Fabricio Guerrero wins. Big upset win. All the underdog plays. Now, there's like 750,000, like 1 million Russians in New Jersey, by the way. That's why it being in New Jersey was especially notable. And Shaughnessy, very high upside. He just lost 2 Bellator fights, whatever. He never fought again. He never fought in MMA again. But 3 years later, he was shot up in a Russian nightclub because he was a mobster. And that's what after he had fought, that's what it was. And so there's a story, an absolute not greasy theory, a real fucking story that just is like, you know what? Sometimes shady shit does happen. And I cannot tell you with a straight face that I believe any of these fights are fixed because I don't think any of these fights are fixed. But just that possibility of it lingering around that it has happened and that it was Russian related and that there's a lot of spots here where there's some overpriced guys like Islam Makhachev, who I'm sure is your boy. We're going to talk about in a second here. But like, there's money to be made if you had an inside scoop. So that's all I got to say there.
Exactly.
So you're taking Alistair Overeem despite everything?
Of course.
And so am I.
Everything logical tells me that I have to take him. He's going to be able to maintain range. He's going to be able to piece up Oleinik. Overeem has pretty good cardio. If he can fight his fight at range, he can do that for 5 rounds. He probably won't go
He's
fight.
Smart, Alistair Overeem.
Minus 610 for this to go to for this to be finished inside the distance. Like, I don't expect to see 5 rounds out of the 2 of these guys. But if they had to go 5 rounds and somehow Oleinik was still standing there, it's Oleinik standing there on the end of all of Alistair Overeem's punches and just being able to weather the damage. But if I see Alistair Overeem probably like a 2nd round TKO. Okay,
fair. But we can agree that you're going to want shares of this fight. If someone was to say, Paul, I'm going to buy you 10 lineups, you're going to put Oleinik on 2, 3? How many would you say you'd put him on? You're going to put him on some shares. 7,300 is a good price considering what his upside is. But we are both in agreement here that Overeem should roll him. He would be our play. And 650, the fight goes inside the distance. Someone's going to score big here because we're both thinking it's going to be Overeem. 8,900 is a good price. Like, you're going to be rostering him. He could be high owned here.
Yeah, 100%. You got to try to get above the field, so that's the real thing. I have no idea. With MMA ownership, I always find baffling. I never know who people are gonna go.
That's fair.
Rostering, but you would want more than 2 because I imagine everybody on this card, with the exception of like maybe Nakamura and ALIEV, are gonna be over like 20% owned. So you would need to probably do like 6 and 4 to make sure that you were overweight at least on the field on those guys. And that's if you're going 100% on the fight. So we'll see. I would definitely want to play some Overeem. Maybe just fade Oleinik. Hopefully he doesn't get that submission, to be perfectly honest.
Enough.
We have Islam Makhachev taking on Arman Sakuran. Here's the beginning of the mispronunciation. Tsarukyan.
Arman Tsarukyan.
Arman Tsarukyan. Islam Makhachev is 9,400 minus 345 favorite. Arman
Tsarukyan.
Arman Hammer is 6,800 and plus 285. What you take here?
Yeah, well, okay. If Arman Tsarukyan was debuting against anybody else, I'd find it very exciting to get behind this guy. And then I see the price, and I'm still kind of excited here. I mean, it's an awesome price. He's only 22 years old. He's got a wealth of experience already. And the guy, he's credible submission specialist, wrestling specialist, good wrestling, good top game, good grappling against lesser competition. And if he was taking on some import American talent, some import Japanese talent, some import Canadian talent or Brazilian talent, it'd be so much better to get behind him because I think he'd go out there and steamroll them with his grappling. Yeah, he can get that quick finish. He finished a lot of fights in his career in the first round, but at the same time, he can go decision. He can break you down. It's just he's getting Islam Makhachev, who the problem here, this is what I'm saying, is that Makhachev, again, great wrestler, great grappler. Let's say that negates itself. Tsarukyan's working a lot on his stand-up. Decent kicking game, decent hands. It's a work in progress, but it's getting better. It's just Islam, same thing. Like, nobody knew he was going to come out and spark Gleison Tebow. But it's like, here's a guy that after losing to Adriano Martins, and remember he got caught by that Chris Wade flying switch kick? Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, the guy's getting caught. He got knocked out the one time against Martins. He got floored the one time against Wade, but eventually recovered and got the win. But it's like, he knows, I got to get better at striking to at least strike long enough to get a hold of these guys and grapple them. And that's what he's been doing. He's been improving. So if I had to say which one do I think has made the better improvement standing, I'm thinking it's Makhachev. And Makhachev's a little bit older. He's more experienced. He's got experience in the UFC. He's been off a year. Well, not quite a year, but he's been off some time. But I would say Islam Makhachev. But when I look at the price, the 9,400, it's a big grasp. Because if they're both grapplers,
well, if you think
and
that
this is strictly going to be a grappling
negated, if you think the grappling gets negated,
then he might not score as much as he traditionally does. And then the minus 345, not only is that a big price for me to take the risk on, is that I actually do like Arman. I see the upside to Arman. I don't mind him for that dog money. And the third thing is if you are going to fuck a fight, you're not going to fuck a fight that's minus 105. You're going to fuck a fight that's 345. You know, it has to be worth your while. Because you're going to have to kill 2 of the 5 people that know about it, right? So, Shaughnessy got shot, right? All I'm saying, Paul, is that this fight screams pass or take the dog or pass. And that would probably be the move here in this case.
Yeah, and 9,400, if there's any sort of... If we see a kickboxing match between the two of them, then... we just fade the top of the board and we load up on a little bit more of a balanced build here.
It would work out because Islam's very expensive, so people roster him. He doesn't meet expectations. Good for the people that faded him. And at the same time, there's a lot of love coming in for Arman. A lot of people like Arman. So if Arman even gets the victory, but it's a slow scoring affair, he doesn't quite. Nobody's taken Islam Makhachev down, right? So is this 22-year-old kid? Yeah, he's a wrestler. Is he going to come in and take down Makhachev?
Probably not.
I don't know. It would be tough. If he does, is he going to do it consistently? Probably not. So what you have is him maybe scoring 50, 60 significant strikes and a victory. Fade both of them because they might have decent ownership, the pair.
All right. We've got Sergey Pavlovich taking on Marcelo Golm. Pavlovich is 9,200 and a minus 270 favorite. Golm is 7,000 and plus 230. Pavlovich, it was pretty easy fade for me. Watching his tape going into the Overeem fight, and I'm just like...
It was a great price, too.
This guy's just like, he's just your standard Russian heavyweight, gonna come with fury, come with power.
Yeah.
Overeem's seen all of that before. You need to be able to take him down. You need to be able to find a submission. You need to take him out of his comfort zone, which is on the feet. I don't think Marcelo Golm this is going to be a bit more of a banger, I believe, between two low-level heavyweights. And Marcelo Golm struggling against Arjun Buller in his last time out, struggling in the fight before that. This is a guy who kind of came into the UFC and had a good performance, and everyone was kind of like, okay, this guy could be something. And I think there's a reason why they're shipping him all the way over to Saint Petersburg against the Russian here. I think we're going to see a violent end, and this is where Pavlovich gets on the winning track inside the octagon.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. The thing with Sergey Pavlovich is he's not just your typical 0-1 UFC fighter. He's your 0-1 UFC fighter making close to $100,000. Like, they signed him with high expectations of here's a good-looking, undefeated Russian heavyweight that has the skills. He's been brought up. And he loses to Overeem. Tough task, but all the same, I think you got a good example there that he might have been spoon-fed. He's not elite. He's got a long ways to go. But now you got to still protect that investment. You don't just throw him to another top guy. You don't even give him a guy like Marcin Tybura who's on the card, because those guys are experienced and, could pose a lot of problems to this guy. He's just got knocked out. It was his first career loss. He needs to build his confidence back up. Who are we going to give him? Marcelo Golm. Golm won his UFC debut by virtue of fighting Christian Colombo. Like, it's a guarantee victory. Like, here you go, kid. You can have it. It's the next two fights, Timothy Johnson and Arjan Boulard. One could argue that Timothy Johnson doesn't want to be dimensional. He wants to throw his hands. It's his demise. He's pretty one-dimensional. He should just stick to his grappling. He does here, and he beats Golm. Likewise, the fight with Arjan Boulard, it's like, if you were a decent athlete with okay hands and the ability to just push this guy against the cage, complete takedowns, ground and pound a little bit, you're going to beat him. And I think Pavlovich's need to get back to what he does best, which is hopefully take this guy down, smash him up. What I am worried about is, even though Pavlovich has a couple fights where he has gone the distance, is that his gas tank looked putrid in his debut, and I don't really have a ton of faith in his gas tank.
Mm-hmm.
Golm is durable. I mean, at the very least, he went the distance with both Timothy Johnson and Arjan Boulard. Never been finished in his career. Probably gets taken down and smashed up the first round. Probably gets taken down and smashed up the second round. And if the third round, if you've got a guy that's completely cooked here in Pavlovich, and he's unable to complete takedowns, he's going to get touched up a little bit. But again, I'm not really sold on Golm's power and his killer instinct and his finishing ability. So I would have to say Pavlovich is going to get the victory. This could be another one where a lot of people might think it's going inside the distance. I got a feeling it's going to be a decision fight. Pavlovich at $9,200.
Then that's a pure fade then.
Yeah, he's not a lightweight. He's not going to go get you 8 takedowns. If he completes a takedown in all 3 rounds, that would be the end of it. His ground transitions, not going to move from half guard. He's going to be comfortable in half guard. Maybe if he was to get side control or something, but he's not looking to pass. And his ground and pound's not going to sustain the price tag of $9,200. If he was to go get a finish, it'd be great. But again, he's still a heavy price tag to own. I think that there's a clear storyline. They're trying to build him back up. I don't like the price tag, but that's because people are backing him in this clear, favorable fight. And like we were talking about in other greasy decisions, if he is to gas, again, this is not a guy that's finished all his fights in the first round. He has been a decision. But if he was to gas for whatever reason and he's up around, maybe a round and a half, he's still going to get the decision over Marcelo Golm, one would think. So Pavlovich is probably one of the safer plays. I don't love it, though. I would rather someone like Overeem, who's cheaper and has a much higher upside, but that's just the personal take.
We have Ivan SHTYRKOV. I've watched this guy fight a whole bunch of times. I don't know why I can't pronounce his name off the top of my head.
Because there was 25 other fights on that card, and most of them had names that were...
They all ended in Kov.
Or ski.
We have, SHTYRKOV taking on Devin Clark. SHTYRKOV is 8,700 and minus 175 favorite. Clark is 7,500 and plus 155. SHTYRKOV, I think the first time I ever became familiar with him is when he took on Bigfoot in Russia. Bigfoot so chin checked, or chin completely gone at that point. He's been cut by the UFC. He's over there fighting on a small card. Global M1 Global, was it? Or?
No, it wasn't M1, but it was
I forget the name of the promotion.
German Titov. It's a boxing
honestly,
promotion, but they set this up for him.
Watching that fight is just like, one, SHTYRKOV up a weight class, so he's fighting up at heavyweight. So maybe...
Against a big heavyweight.
Against a big heavyweight. Wasn't able to he was able to rock him, wasn't able to put him away. He got super gas up a weight class. That's where I worry about this guy. What if Devin Clark has shown good durability. Or not good durability, but good cardio. Good cardio and pace to his fights. I just worry that if this guy gasses out, isn't able to put Devin Clark away early, that Clark is able to take over a little bit later and put him away. But I think the writing's on the wall here that they did bring over Devin Clark, who has been a little bit chinny. More so chinny at 185 than 205. Even though he's not big for 205, it seems to help his durability quite a bit. I do think that the guy, Ivan, I'm just going to go with these first names.
Ivan's terrible.
Ivan is absolutely like nuclear jacked. Like this guy, we'll see now that he's underneath the USADA doping pool, how things go for him. Because if you were like spot the guy that is going to fail his test on this card,
you know what?
This is the guy I would point out.
I want to bring that up. You might have to go to my one shot here because you can see it too. But spot the guy in this picture who's on steroids. Okay, see that? Paul, you see that?
Dear God.
It's a trick question. They're all on steroids. But SHTYRKOV's the one at the end, dude. Look how fucking big he is. Like, this guy is abnormal size of human, and he had a really sketchy interview, Russian translated, when the UFC signed him and they asked him about USADA, and he was like, I'm not worried. But he didn't say, like, I don't know. It's lost in translation. I don't speak Russian. It was just how it was translated as. But I don't know, dude. This guy's like Husamal Palhares if Husamal Palhares was to eat Husamal Palhares.
Koreshkov is right next to him.
Yeah, Koreshkov's in
Jack
here.
City too, but like nobody looks Jack City like Ivan does.
No. I mean, and mind you, this is a guy who's shorter than Andrei Koreshkov. He's shorter than pretty much everybody in the picture. But at the same time, he fought up at heavyweight. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But this is a talented individual, and this is a talented individual that someone has a lot of money invested in him. He's not going into this fight to fuck around and lose because he has a backer. German Titov promotion, the promotion that set up that fight, it's a Russian boxing promotion, and with Russian boxing, you're building up these guys, you're building up these records. They pretty much just had a boxing show with a couple MMA fights just to put him on there in a fight where they paid. Antonio Silva was like, I got paid a ridiculous amount of money to go over there and fight this guy. Like, I didn't even care that I didn't win the decision. Totally fine. So people have an investment in him. This is what I liked about him. He starts off his career, a lot of Russian guys, a lot of guys in general, they're can crushing, right? When you see a guy with a big record like this, you assume can crushing. He beats Jeff Monson, former UFC title challenger. Then he beats Rico Rodriguez, former UFC champion. Then he beats Antonio Silva, a guy that was a former, as far as Strikeforce goes, UFC goes, everything, a perennial top guy. Early in his career, Rodney Wallace, UFC veteran. Philip DeFries, UFC veteran, current KSW heavyweight champion. Satoshi Ishii.
He's fighting world-class opponents.
Satoshi Ishii, gold medal in judo. Christian Mpumbu, former Bellator champion. Fabio Maldonado, Thiago Silva. The fight with Geronimo dos Santos, it's the draw on his record was fucking pathetic. He gasses out. He relies heavily on the fact that they're in Russia and he needs the Russian judges. And it screams red flag, red flag, red flag. Don't touch this guy. But he fights him at heavyweight again as well. He jumps up to heavyweight for that fight. Geronimo dos Santos weighed in at 265. A year prior, he fought in Ryzen at 289. He has fought in his career as high as 300 pounds. He's a ginormous human being. So Ivan gasses out after the first round and then has to survive. But he's able to survive against a guy who's just a murderous power puncher. Not very talented, but a murderous power puncher. So even if he gets tired against Devin Clark, he's not going to get finished. And he'll get the decision.
Devin Clark doesn't have the power to really finish him off.
Yeah.
And then if we go to decision, we talked about this. Okay, we're going to talk about it more.
And listen, he looked really bad against Geronimo, but then he dropped down to 205 and looked really good against Fabio Maldonado and Thiago Silva. Both washed up Brazilian UFC veterans.
Yeah.
But if Devin Clark was fighting Thiago Silva or Fabio Maldonado, maybe he's the slight favorite, but would you feel super confident? Like, no. So it's not as if he's taking on some huge jump up in Devin Clark. And you even said so yourself. Devin Clark's a guy that fought at 185 pounds. He's literally the size of Geronimo dos Santos' leg, his juiced up leg. Check out a picture of that guy. It's not even comparable. So getting tired against a guy that's that big is understandable. I don't think Devin Clark, even though he's a good wrestler, he's not going to be physically strong enough to get him down. He maybe is a little bit faster, but he's not going to have the strength advantage. If he gets clipped, he's in trouble. If he gets taken down, he gets ground and pounded, he's in trouble. If he ends up in some old school Russian Sambo submission, and by the way, Jan catches him with a no-hook rear naked choke. That's what I'm talking about, old school Russian Sambo submission. All of that's going to spell disaster for him. $8,700, again, I like it probably more than I like Sergey Pavlovich. he's a good price.
$500 on the back end too.
Yeah, and here's a guy that's undefeated, that they really worked hard to protect him from not getting that loss, which is why he has a draw. And he's coming to the UFC and fighting Devin Clark. It's not an overwhelmingly big price tag. I would feel better about it. And I think he could score a lot against Devin Clark. And if he doesn't score lots against Devin Clark and just secures the victory with a couple of takedowns, some submission attempts, some ground and pound, it'll be relatively close to that 75 to 80 point range, which is not ideal, but it's acceptable. I think he could have a low basement, even in in a shitty victory, so to speak, if he has to rely on the judges. But again, Devin Clark's no world beater.
This guy is a finisher. You look at his record. Once he's left heavyweight, and he's moved
once
on.
He's left heavyweight.
Once he left heavyweight, he's starting to smash.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key.
Like his last couple fights, absolutely obliterating people early in fights.
Yeah, and he has gone to decision in the event that he doesn't get that early finish. But heavyweight's clearly not for him because he's like 5'11", 6. I think he's like 6 foot. It's clearly a bad move for him. Yeah. Now that you're in the UFC, you need to cut down, but hopefully that all helps out. And because if it's in Russia, there's a better chance he's able to use a diuretic to help him make the weight. And there's a better chance he's going to have an IV in his arm to help him rehydrate afterwards. So he's probably not going to have a terrible weight cut, and I'm on board. So hook me up with Ivan.
I love it. We have Antonina Shevchenko taking on Roxanne Modafferi. Antonina is 9,300 and minus 345 favorite. Roxanne is 6,900 plus 285. This fight goes to decision is around minus 200. So with all of these absolutely frightening Russian finishers on the card, 9,300 just feels really expensive to be paying for Antonina, who is definitely going to be the better striker. But I think we kind of know that there's some holes in her game, and Roxy is pretty underestimated, to be perfectly honest. Like a pretty underappreciated. Hey, anybody who's listened to this for a long time knows that I have made a point of shitting on her. But you know, she's in Vegas. She seems to have put a lot of work and everything into it. If there's one person on the card that I would be like, there's no way that she throws or that this person throws a fight, it's Roxanne Modafferi.
Yeah, you could never.
She's going out there. She's going to give it 100% effort.
Money, man. She's doing this because this is what she loves.
I think the price is just too wide on Shevchenko. Like I don't feel comfortable with somebody who's still really green. She is not Valentina. I do not, especially in terms of like her well-rounded game. Like I don't think she has much of a ground game yet. Her kickboxing is good, but it's not like her sister, world-class, world champion kickboxer good. I think a lot of this line is probably cooked off of the fact that she has that Shevchenko last name. Am I going to bet Roxanne? No. I can't bring myself to do that after all the shit I've talked over the years here. But I want to stay away from Antonina, especially on DraftKings 9,300. I just think that's... Like what do you like? Are you even if she wins, even if it's a dominant, victory by decision in Russia, she scores 90 points. It's just like, well, one of these guys, all they have to do is really crack, get a first round finish. They outscore her easily. Like I think it's an easy stay away on DraftKings at least. What's your take here? Yeah,
well, not only that, but Roxanne Modafferi is very durable. Like traditionally speaking or historically speaking, this girl can take it, and she's fought in up weight classes, down weight classes against world class opposition all throughout the years. Where she's starting to shine now is that she's a better grappler than most of these girls. And if she gets the fight to the ground, she's going to grapple them. And then the other thing is she's been Thai boxing for like over a decade. She can hold her own standing. She can take a shot and she can pose a problem. It's just she's and I will never stop saying this, she could win a world title. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. It's just she is the least athletic person in the UFC. She does not move like an athlete in the slightest sense. She's very flat-footed. She's very herky-jerky, but she's got heart for days. And now that she's proven to just be a better grappler, she's going to be able to beat people that have holes in their game. In this division, there's a lot of them. Antonina might be one of them. That remains to be seen. So what I'm worried about is that, if you're going to pay the $9,300 on Shevchenko, you would like the finish, or you would want an absolute rout. But that's going to be hard to do against Modafferi because she can slow down the pace with the grappling and she can take a punch. So her getting dropped is not really one of it. But you're 100% right. I mean, Valentina is a power puncher. Antonina Not a power puncher. She has something like 9 TKO victories and over 40 Muay Thai wins.
Some people are probably listening to you right
like
now saying that Valentina, our boy MMA Trader, probably doesn't like that. He said that she's a power puncher.
For the division, yeah. I mean, I believe
he's a
that.
Valentina hater, though.
Well, it depends. Listen, there's a lot of people that are going to argue they don't have power. And then you're going to look up at the card and say, Alistair Overeem, there's a guy with power. I'm just looking into it like relatively. Like if Valentina was to come in this room right now and punch you square in the face, you'd be out.
Of course.
And you could take a punch.
If Roxanne Modafferi came into this room right now, punch me in the head.
I'm going to be honest. Potentially, if she kicked you right in the face, yeah, you're going to go down. But if she came out there and punched you with his...
I have a long history of concussions.
Maybe I'm wrong.
That you don't know about.
No, I do know about
I have a good shot of getting knocked out.
Right. Okay, well, if somebody...
We've been there before.
Somebody with an okay chin. Okay, all jokes aside, what I'm saying is Valentina is like a, whatever it is, 8-time European champion. Valentina is like a 2-time champion. So she's not as accredited as her sister. Sorry, Antonina is like a 2-time champion. She's not as accredited as her sister. And she wasn't really a power puncher. She's a technician. She's got decent knees. She's got decent kicks. But she's not really a big finisher, so to speak. So yeah, I could see this fight going the distance. And for the $9,300, I would want more out of Shevchenko. I would be tempted if this was anybody but Roxanne Modafferi. And you told me I've got a proven grappler with a significant grappling advantage taking over a potentially one-sided kickboxer, I would be all over the grappler, 100%. But in Roxanne's case is that she has to get the takedown. She can't wrestle. Well, she can okay wrestling, but she got an okay judo game. She can get a trip. And trips particularly work on Muay Thai fighters. So I am worried. I would not play Antonina, but I can't tell you I truthfully do believe Roxanne Modafferi is going to win the fight. It's just a very tempting price tag because it's plus 285. Flip side the $6,900. When she does actually win fights, she can score. She's not incapable of scoring points. She gets takedowns, ground transitions, ground and pound. I get this is not doing any damage. Somebody's scoring that as a significant strike because she's in mount. You know, like she's able to score. So again, $6,900, a very tempting price tag. But I'm a pussy. Like I'm a bitch. I can't pull the trigger on it. I just can't bring myself to do it. Don't got the balls for it. I'm sorry.
We got Krzysztof Jotko taking on Alan AMEDOVSKI. Jotko is 8,600 minus 185 favorite. AMEDOVSKI 7,600 plus 160. Who you got here, Cody?
Yeah, so there's worries for Jotko being that this guy went from like prospect extraordinaire that everybody was behind to a 3-fight losing streak, getting knocked out pretty bad his last 2 fights. Still only 29 years old. It just seems like Jotko is not in anybody's conversation anymore, and that's tough. I think this guy's still supremely talented. It's just, dems to breaks. Now, had never been knocked out, and now the question will have to be surrounding his chin, which is unfortunate because he's taking a guy in Alan AMEDOVSKI who's just a strictly straight-up power puncher. Like, Jotko is better than this guy in every aspect of MMA, but this is an MMA fight, and one guy's going to be throwing
4-ounce
straight heat at you, and I don't know that if Jotko can take it. Jotko needs to be smart here. He's a guy that spent a lot of time at American Top Team, even though he's kind of got that, like, karate type Muay Thai background. He is a good striker. I don't want to see him strike here, mainly because I don't want to see him get chin checked. He is a capable grappler. He's a decent wrestler. He can go out there and he can get takedowns and out grapple this guy, and that's exactly what he needs to do. One thing with Jotko is that when you look at his losing streak, it's unfortunate he's getting caught and he's losing. But prior to that, the guy's got a takedown over Talis Latis. Like, who even wants to go to the ground with Talis Latis? 2 takedowns against Bradley Scott. He took down Dave Branch. He took down Uriah Hall. His wrestling's not bad. He is a strong guy. He can control you against the cage. It's that, unfortunately, he's a striker at heart. So he's going to get into striking exchanges. And he's been caught against Brad Tavares and Uriah Hall, his last 2. So it's unfortunate, but that's what happens when you strike. 3-fight losing streak now. You need a victory. Go to the grappling, you'll take this guy out. So AMEDOVSKI, yeah, decent looking record, but he's not there, Paul. He's a quick finisher. He's had 2 fights for Bellator. The one over Will Fleury, that's notable because Will Fleury is actually a decent prospect at SBG Ireland. But this guy, he needs to knock you out in the first 3 minutes. He's going to go out there and he's going to throw punches. As far as him being on his back, he's strong. He's got no submission game. As far as his wrestling goes, non-existent. As far as his takedown wrestling goes, non-existent. And he's got about 3 minutes in him. So JOTKO could literally just go out there, stall him and work him up against the cage for 2 or 3 minutes, disengage and then strike, or just peel him to the ground, get on top of him, tire him out in the first round. And then in the second round, I guess, play around with him. But JOTKO should win this fight. And it's a very nice price tag. The 185, 3-fight losing streak's probably why you're going to get the price. It's near 2-1. That I'm not a huge fan of. But the $8,600, he can score big here. He can score big with takedowns, strikes, a finish. Hopefully he's low owned because he's been knocked out his last 2 and on a 3-fight losing streak.
I wouldn't anticipate that he'd be high owned.
There's a lot of things to like.
He was on Twitter recently this week.
He looks good, doesn't he?
Well, he was talking about how he's JOTKO 2.0.
Physically, I thought he was
referring to
good.
himself, I guess in the third person and adding a 2.0, meaning that he's made adjustments and we're going to see a different type of guy. So that all probably leads towards him not trying to strike whatsoever. And maybe he's just tipping his hat to that there.
And he's taken a full year off after the knockout, and that was back-to-back knockouts. Yep. But he's taken a full year off of, and yeah, physically he seems like he's in great shape. Mentally, seems like he's in a great place. And I don't really think AMEDOVSKI won 2 fights for Bellator by finish, pretty spectacular, including one over a hyped prospect out of SBG. They did not offer this man a contract. He's a one-dimensional power puncher. JOTKO should not fall into that trap. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried, but I'm worried about everything. So
as you should be with somebody who got knocked out their last 2 fights, taking on a power puncher. But that's the game that we're playing here. So sounds like we're on board with Krzysztof JOTKO to get back on track here. We move on down the card. We have Movsar Evloev taking on Seungwoo Choi. That sounds like a little tape track or something that I just added there and it wasn't actually my voice, but it was. Movsar Evloev is 9,100 minus 290 favorite. Seungwoo Choi is 7,100 and plus 245. Who do you like here, Cody?
Yeah, I got to go with EVLOEV. Again, this is a undefeated Russian champion, M1 global veteran. All 10 of his fights happened for the M1 promotion. He has been groomed for great things, and he is not can-crushed in the slightest bit. He fights the best Russian opposition made possible to him. Runs out of Russian opposition, and Kazakh opposition for that matter. Bring in Brazilian talent. Like they've done a good job of building him up. 25 years old. The other thing is you look at last weekend with Zabit 2.0, MODAFFERI, which was like just such a heartbreak. That guy, I don't want to say suck. It was just like not what I was expecting. That's all. That's not how I like my undefeated Russian prospects to fight. You know, I like them to grab a hold of somebody, peel them to the ground, and just take them into daddy's domain.
You're
and
preaching
dominate.
to the choir,
right? And that EVLOEV is that kind of fighter, and that's the kind of guy we can all get behind. That should be the exact path to victory. Because Seungwoo Choi is a banger, and he's going to come out there and he's going to throw heat. That's just how he knows how to fight. Korean fighters, they've been matched up with Russians very often. It's a battle of I'm going to blast you with power shots or get taken down in the process. When they do get taken down, they're not trying to submit, they're not trying to sweep, they're trying to hold on, get back up, blast you with the power again.
And this brings up one we were talking about earlier. You think you're going to get any breaks? You have the Russian fighter taking on the Korean fighter. Do you think the ref... I don't know who they're going to have as the referees. I think you're going to see a lot of referees that you're not used to seeing because it's really hard to get like working visas and stuff like that to go over to Russia. So they're going to have a lot of local referees, and we've watched all of these cards in the past. Does the non-Russian ever get let up? Like, they'll let people stand back up? Do they get them to stand back up? That doesn't happen very often.
No.
Like, you're gonna have to get right off. Like, if you're flat on your back against Movsar here, you're going to have to get back up on your own accord. The ref is not going to bail you out in Russia.
Think about this. That MODAFFERI fight against Max Griffin, right? It's in Atlanta. I've never seen Ashley Larry ref before. I had no fucking clue who the hell that guy was. He looked ridiculous, and he was terrible. I had no idea this was. But the fight's in Atlanta. American guy against a Russian guy. The Russian guy grabs the cage. Ashley Larry's like, screw this, man. You can't do that. Takes a point right away.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit crazy.
I thought it was very...
I like that.
He didn't improve his position. He just grabbed the cage.
I like that. I think that's what things should be.
If it stops a takedown.
If everyone does that, but nobody...
If you used it to sweep, if you used it to get back up, I get it. But if you just simply grabbed a hold of it and nothing happened like that, and no warning, nothing... harsh. But what I'm saying is the American got the benefit of the doubt. The Russian grabbed the cage and the Russian lost the point. The American, with the American ref in America, got the favorable decision. That exact same situation takes place in Russia this Saturday morning. You know what happens? AMEDOVSKI grabs the cage, and the Russian and the ref says, well, man, he's only grabbing the cage because you're just fucking holding him down. I'm standing this back up. They're not going to take a point.
No.
You know? The other interesting thing is that his entire career for EVLOEV, his entire career has been in M1. And M1 utilizes a half cage, half ring. So it's much harder to take people down in a half cage, half ring. Once you get them down, it's the same. But they're able to grab onto the ropes. There's a lot more bend in the ropes. You can bend over. There's way more give in it. And he's able to just get guys down, no problem. If he doesn't get you on the first takedown, it's the second, third, fourth attempt at it. He doesn't need multiple entries because once he gets his initial entry, he gets a hold of you. Once he gets a hold of you, he's onto you. He'll grapple you. He'll drain you. He's gone 5 rounds. Cardio, not an issue. Everything checks out here. But remember Peter Yan when he took on a little heralded Korean fighter and when he was coming into the UFC? It was like, again, it's a favorable matchup for him. He gets the victory, but it's like they're dangerous. Tae-Yun Bang, remember him? He got caught. He'll never fight again because he got caught fixing the fight. Remember when he broke Cajun Johnson's jaw in Vancouver? It was like, these guys, they're dangerous, man. You probably don't know who they are. They're actually all very strong. They're decent grapplers, and they're looking to throw heat. So I've got EVLOEV all day. The $9,100 is this could very well go to decision. And EVLOEV with his takedowns and with that ground and pound and with those transitions, I'm just hoping it's going to be low ownership. I'd be interested in taking him. The $290, it'd be a parlay piece. But again, I don't see them telling the 25-year-old 10-0 kid to go throw this fight. I do not see it, and I think he gets the victory here. I'm confident in that. I've watched this guy a lot because of all of his time in M1, obviously, and I've been impressed.
We have Keita Nakamura taking on Sultan Aliev. Keita Nakamura, 8,200, minus 105. Sultan Aliev, 8,000, minus 115. So, this fight to go to decision, or sorry, to be finished inside the distance is, let me just write down the time code there. It's plus 170.
Right.
So the odds of this, and like I don't have the goes to decision. It's probably like around like minus 220, minus 230. So you're telling me, Keita Nakamura, who's always in close fights, is going to be in a close. He takes on Sultan Aliev, another guy who is always in razor close fights. We're in Russia, the two of these guys. Like Keitaro, like if these guys were fighting in Atlanta last week, I'd probably lean towards Nakamura. But we're in Russia. The decision, when we go to decision here, anything that's close, like the crowd's going to be cheering for the Russian guy. Like it's going to be tough for Keita Nakamura to win anything that is not inside the distance here. So if you're making a wager on Keita Nakamura because you just think he's a more well-rounded fighter, you may very well be right, but be very prepared. Don't start screaming robbery on Twitter when you lose a fight in Russia because this shit happens here all the time. So I don't know if I'm just like being over the top about this, but like this is the exact fight that I'm like, if you like Nakamura, like bet him inside the distance, but like would you even want to bet him inside the distance? The odds are probably pretty good, but like there's no real point in setting yourself up to get home cooked. And I think this is a perfect spot where fight's probably going to go to decision between two guys that always end up in really close fights. Like I expect Aliev to win by decision. Even if he doesn't deserve to win by decision. As long as it's relatively close, I see Sultan pulling this one out. A lot of cage work, greasy. He's going to hold him up there. It's going to be nasty. It's not going to be very entertaining. This is a perfect piss break for you, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I'm not particularly interested in the DraftKings pricing, but if I was more confident that Sultan Aliev was just going to go out there and grapple, which is pretty much the only way he knows how to fight, I'd be more confident in this. He's way stronger than Keita Nakamura. He's a better wrestler than Keita Nakamura. If he completes a single takedown, I don't see Keita Nakamura getting back up. Nakamura may be a better grappler, but is he going to submit Sultan Aliev off of his back? Sultan Aliev is a brick shithouse, man. He's so strong. He's like kind of like a Bartosz Fabinski. Is he super talented? No. but he is super strong. And against certain stylistical matchups, he's gonna trump it. And this is what I see. If the fight stays standing, however, Nakamura is gonna outpoint him. He's a better kickboxer, and he's a point fight kickboxer. So as long as they stay standing, he'll be moving, he'll be kicking, he'll be jabbing. If this is in Japan or America or anywhere else, that's probably enough to win the round. If Sultan Aliev completes a takedown versus the better work done by Nakamura, you're gonna sit at home and think you won the fight, but you did not, because the single takedown will, for whatever reason, trump it. Now, he's not gonna get finished. However, he did get finished in his last fight against Warlley Alves, but it was because his eye completely closed, like it was nasty. However, this is in Russia, they probably don't stop the fight. If they do stop the fight, they probably somehow come up with the theory that it was a headbutt that caused the injury, therefore we're going to go to a technical decision, referee scorecard. Aliev wins the fight. Well, I'm sorry, what can you do? The one thing, though, that I will admit is that we probably do sound over the top with like the thick sin and this and that, but it's like it's the mentality of some guys are worth protecting and other guys aren't. Aliev's not actually worth protecting. No. A guy like EVLOEV is. A guy like Ivan SHTYRKOV is. A guy like Sergey Pavlovich are. People have money invested in those guys. They need to get a return on that investment, and that's what's going to happen. But when I look at guys like Alexander Yakovlev or Shamil Abdurakhimov or Gazmurat Antigulov, like...
There's a reason why these guys are on the bottom of this Russian card. They're on the early prelims.
There's no investment in them,
of
right?
This card,
exactly. So, but those guys are established. They got fights in the UFC. Who are these other guys? These other guys are being brought up for a reason.
That they're promoting now.
So why do I think that the Russian judges are going to fuck every guy? No, I don't. I think there's certain spots that they will. If this is a close fight, though, they're going to favor the grappler over the Japanese point-style kickboxer. If this is Nakamura rocking him left, right, and center and he gets a couple takedowns, yeah, they might give it to Nakamura. But when has Nakamura ever rocked anybody left, right, and center, right? Other than maybe Kyle Noak. Shit happens, and I think Aliev, it's a very tempting price tag of the -115. It should be him getting a takedown on a guy he can definitely take down, who he can definitely stay on top of,
just
who he can
riding
definitely
it out.
grind for it. Good beer break, good piss break, good avoid on DraftKings, but it could be a good money line play if I was just confident that no fuckery going on, go out there and get those takedowns. So I'm going to consider it. I'll watch a little more tape. I like Kaita Nakamura. It's where he is and who he's fighting is going to create a significant disadvantage for him, I believe.
We have the return of Alexander, Thunder of the North, I believe.
Thunder of the North.
Thunder of the North, Yakovlev. He takes on newcomer Alex De Silva. Yakovlev is 8,300 -155 favorite. De Silva is 7,900 and +135. Yakovlev, I think generally this whole situation for him is they better give this guy a fucking microphone and he better be able to wrap himself into this arena.
That'd be great.
Otherwise, why do you even have... There is some other Russian guy who deserves to have this spot. Some younger Russian guy who
didn't just take 2.5 years off.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's been gone for a while. He's a Russian rapper. Look him up. It's pretty easy to find, and it's really aggressive. Like we're talking Bentleys. We're talking Russian gangster shit here with Alexander Yakovlev. This guy better be rapping his way into the cage. That's all I have to say. Like, that is what I'm more interested in Alexander Yakovlev's walk-in than I think I am in his fight. I don't know much about this Alex De Silva kid yet. I haven't had a chance to look at any of his tape. What about you?
Yeah, well, Alex De Silva, again, and I'm sure everybody's always been like, why is Cody always worried? Like, he never gives us a play where he's like, ride it, take it to the bank. But it's like, yeah, you see these spots where Alex De Silva, again, he's crushed a lot of opponents. And he is not, like, when you look at his record, you think like, holy shit. And he's got a lot of finishes. And the guy seems like a very talented individual. But we don't know what we're going to get out of him. Because now he's going to be fully tested here against a guy in Alexander Kovalev that's fought in world-class opposition, that has fought in the UFC, has fought guys like Paul Daly and Damian Maia, and has been experienced the bright lights, and has been at this level, and has been on a long layoff. So it creates a lot of question marks. Yakovlev is a good grappler. He's a decent grappler. And he's fought in good kickboxers before, namely, again, like that Paul Daly fight. That got him into the UFC. You're a good kickboxer. He's a good grappler. He'll take you down. It's that when you get to the UFC, now you have to also take on good grapplers, and that's kind of where he struggled. Remember he tried to like drop down down a weight class and he was like the largest man of all times. It's like, holy shit. I think he fought, what was it, Gray Maynard at like 155 pounds. It was like scary. Like, how could he get down to that? Goes up to 170. But think about his losses, right? Namely, Damian Maia, Kamaru Usman, Zach Cummings, like they're all big, superior grapplers to him. His whole thing was be the bigger, superior grappler. That's why he tried to go down to 55 because he wasn't having the success at 170. Then he loses to Zach Cummings in a fight that he looked terrible in and got submitted and just vanished off the map. Dealt with a little bit of injuries and I think some maybe just disinterested. And hey, now the UFC's in Russia. What a great time to get my local fans involved. You know what? I can sell some tickets. Good guy to put on the card. He's a prelim slot. Put him in. But this Alex Da Silva is interesting because now you've just signed a guy that I think something like he's finished all 20 of his wins. His only time he's gone to decision was his lone loss or something like that. Like, yeah, he's a potent finisher, but he's a stand-up guy. And even though he's an opportunistic submission guy, he's not going to get on top of Yakovlev. He could outstrike him. He could hit him. He could hurt him. I have no idea if after 30 months off, Yakovlev is shot. I don't know if he's slow. I don't know if he's out of shape. I don't know if he's disinterested. I have no idea what to expect out of this guy. But if he comes in there with the game plan of, I'm going to take this guy down and grapple him, and he shows me even remotely what he used to be like, this would be a good style clash for him. I would have to say avoid it. I got a bad gut feeling about it, and it's not a good enough. Well, it's actually a decent price tag, but I would want to avoid it on DK because Yakovlev's game plan would be take him down, grind him. The guy hasn't been finished, probably doesn't finish him here. At the same time, the minus 155, a little more tempting, but the 30 months off is just too big of a red flag. So I'm gonna have to avoid it, see how he looks here, and then weigh out my options in the future.
We've got Marcin Tybura taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov. Marcin Tybura is 8,400 and minus 150 favorite. Shamil Abdurakhimov is 7,800 and plus 130. I kind of consider these guys to be incredibly similar. Decent, big heavyweights, decent mobility, good kicks. Like to fight a little bit more at distance. Tybura seems to like to use his grappling a little bit more, take the fight to the canvas. But they're both like heavyweights that don't have that for like if they land one of like more so Tybura does have like a death touch kick if he lands it.
He's faster heavyweight, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like these two guys very, very likely for them to go to decision. It could be a point kickboxing match between the two of them. And yeah, I think I'm going to side with the younger Pole in this situation just because there's a little bit less miles. I think he's a little bit faster. I think he's going to be able to outpoint Shamil. I think that this fight goes to decision. And we were talking about earlier that, like, are they really invested in Shamil? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like, he's on the card because he's from the country, but, like, he's not exactly a prospect by any stretch.
37 years old. And
exactly.
So a lot of stinker fights.
Give me the younger clone, basically, here, Tybura by decision. Not one that I feel overly confident about, that I want any sort of DK exposure to either. Because when you look at the other guys in that range, we're talking about it. Hey, JOTKO could come out and want to wrestle a whole bunch. That could be very profitable on DraftKings. He's only $200 more. We have Ivan is 87. Like,
yeah,
there's Tybura just doesn't really have a history of being such a potent DraftKings scorer. If I think this goes to decision and it's a stand-up affair and it's relatively close, like it's an easy fade, heavyweight fade, slow round 3 type of fight.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling this fight's going to take place in the clinch, up against the cage, with Abdurakhimov ever so slightly doing a little bit more for 2 rounds before he gets tired. Then Tybura does ever so slightly a little bit more in the 3rd round. And the judges give it to Abdurakhimov. He's the underdog. That's the only play I'd be interested in this. If you would tell me all those points on Tybura, I like those too. If he was the underdog, I would bet him. But this is as middling heavyweight, middle of the pack as it gets. I'm getting the Russian in Russia, a guy that's been in some stinker close fights. And truthfully, yeah, they kind of remind me of each other. I mean, for bigger guys, they're actually kind of agile. They're mobile. You know, Tybura's got that kick over Pesto. It was like, damn, That shit was nuts. How'd this guy move that fast? But it's like, he's a decent kickboxer. He's decent karate skills. A big guy, moves agile. His fight with Fabricio Verdum, maybe this is going to be his coming out party. Stinks the bed. Fight with Derek Lewis, man, crazy. But he falls into the classic Derek Lewis. And then his fight against Struve, I mean, just not very aspiring. ABDURAKHIMOV, he's 37 years old. Agile for a heheavyweight. Sometimes you see what he did to Chase Sherman. It was like, damn. Chase Sherman at least usually stands there and takes the beating. He doesn't just crumple over so fast. This he's agile. He moves. He wasn't a big power puncher, but you see, maybe he's got some precision there. Who knows? His fight against Arlovsky didn't look terrible. But the fact that it's 3 rounds, he's got enough in the tank to win the first 2 if he is going to gas. And I feel like because they're both kind of comparable grapplers, they're going to end up in the clinch. TYBURA's got a bad habit of being in the clinch and having his back against the cage. Flip side to that, ABDURAKHIMOV has a good tendency of getting into these clinches and holding you up against the cage. So in this particular spot, I think it would favor him. It'd be greasy. It'd be boring. I don't expect this to be a very entertaining fight. But close would be good for me if this is dog money on ABDURAKHIMOV in Russia. So I would say dogger pass is the only way I'm looking at this one.
We move on down. We've got Mikey O's, the new Mikey O's, OLEKSIEJCZUK. He's 8,800 and minus 220. Gadzhimurad Antigulov is 7,400 and plus 180. First things first, and this is almost like me stealing your bit, but like Antigulov I think he claims to be like
32. There's no way. This is quite simply no way.
He's got to be at least 42.
Yeah.
Like this guy was not blessed with any sort of good looks. But the guy can wrestle. And you know what? He's gonna be kind of hated on. And I think the line kind of represents that like he went out there against Ion Cutelaba and got absolutely starched. But Cutelaba's a guy who, when he came into the UFC, he was super young still. He's like 22. And he didn't really all of a sudden, like he didn't come in and he wasn't quite ready yet. And I think as time goes on, we've seen like the prospect, he was like one of the number 1 prospects outside of the UFC when he came in. We're starting to see that guy round into form right now. I don't think I've been wrong on Michael Oleinik or whatever the hell his name is. He came in against Roundtree, was able to take the heat early on against Roundtree and outpoint him later on. Roundtree obviously, looks like his cardio improved in his last fight. That's for sure.
He pulled a Jared Cannon here. It's like you drop the weight class and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, you're fighting where you should be. Now, mind you, that guy looked almost, not quite, almost more jacked than my boy SHTYRKOV here, Ivan. Like he was as jacked as a human being could potentially be at 185 pounds. But yeah, listen, I had to eat crow on that one. I thought he'd gas out after 5 minutes. Anders got beat up and Roundtree never once stopped coming. So yeah, in hindsight, looks good for Danny, or looks good for our old boy Mikey O. Nobody
who's went out there and tried to take down Mikey O here. Nobody. And he obviously went out there against Jean Volante and absolutely starched him in the first round last time out. But Gadzhimurad Antigulov is going to go out there. He's going to try to take him down. He's going to try to take him down super, super early. I don't believe in Mikey O's power. I think that Volante's at the end of the road. I think he weathered the storm against a guy with cardio issues in Roundtree. Like, it's a dogger pass situation for me here. It's scary, but give me Antigulov. On DraftKings 7,400, like you're going to be risking taking the first round finish. Don't get me wrong. Like maybe he gets clipped, maybe he gets finished, but plus 180, 7,400. Like we liked a lot of favorites along the board here.
Yeah,
I think
you're
this
totally right.
This is a guy with super, super, super high upside in Antigulov. When he's won fights in the UFC, like you needed to have him on your roster to really cash. Now we're getting him at a super discounted rate against, I think, somewhat of a fraud. I'm not sold on Mikey O yet. He's 2-0, but yeah, against Roundtree and Volante, like I don't think that's
aren't bad wins, man.
They're not bad. They're not great.
Yeah, okay, fair. He's just 24 years old. He's just starting his UFC career out. He's just a buy.
He's just
a buy, pal.
He's going to war against somebody who's twice his age, 48-year-old man, Antigulov here.
Yeah.
he's old enough to be his father.
Well, of course. Look at this. This is a friend of the show's, Adrian Woolley. You remember Adrian Woolley?
Yep.
Okay, this is Adrian Woolley's SureDog page. So, like, why would there be anything wrong with that, right? What's Adrian Woolley's age say there?
36.
Right, but he's a 47-year-old man. So why would SureDog have him as a 36-year-old? Well, if you were to ever ask Adrian Woolley, he'd tell you, the UFC said they weren't signing people over 35. So I just told SureDog this is how old I am, and that's what they put on their site. And then Tapology, they go on SureDog, and they say, oh shit, SureDog's got a birthday for the guy. We don't got that. So they take the birthday for the guy. And then mixedmartialarts.com says, oh fuck, we don't got an age for him either. So they take the age. And then you get some documents for it. He didn't do any of that. He just emailed SureDog. But in this case, it's like, is Antigulov 32 years old? Like, no, I can't imagine so. And then on top of that, he goes into his fights and he attempts to finish it as quick as humanly possible. Why is that? Because he knows his limitations, Paul. He doesn't want to fight for 15 minutes. Probably can't fight for 15 minutes. He's an okay power grappler. Obviously, he's got those old man submissions, those old man Sambo style submissions. And he's a strong guy, but he's putting a lot of effort in early. I think when you look at his early UFC career, we cashed dog money on him his first fight against Marcos Rogerio de Lima. But then again, like, that's not a really quality victory. And you power the guy down, you grab that guillotine. Okay, then you get Joachim Christensen. This is not a quality victory, but you power this guy down, you submit in the first round. Then you get Jan Kudalaba unable to. You try, you gas, you get finished. And that's what I do believe will happen.
Taking on a
here.
better wrestler.
He's taking on a much better wrestler and a much
Mikey
more physical
a better
guy.
wrestler.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to stop that early takedown?
Well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't.
Try.
No, maybe he doesn't get that early or stuff the early takedown. But if he gets taken down and he's able to just simply survive, that would go a long way. And he trains out of a decent camp. They're going to have him ready. I believe that if you do get taken down, this is what you need to do. The other thing that I take that I don't mind about this guy is you nailed it. This guy is not a power puncher. However, what he is, he's small for the division. He's a 185 pounder that fights at 205 pounds. That's going to give him a speed advantage. When you look at him beat guys like Khalil Roundtree, he's able to go deeper into the fight, have cardio, and be that faster guy. When you see against him versus John Vellante, he never gave Jean Vellante a second to get started in that fight. He just swarmed his ass right off the get-go, working the body, keeping stuff in his face, keeping active. He's fast because he's undersized. He's got good cardio because he's undersized, but he doesn't have the power. So what he's relied on is precision power. When you look at any of this guy's finishes, it's landing the kill shot. He does not just land a barrage shot. It's bam, right on the chin. In the fight with Vellante, it's like, that's a precision body blow. He knows how to get bigger guys out of there without having to slug Hail Mary punches because he's more of a technician. So he's young, he's not the better grappler, and I'm worried that he does get plowed down in the first 2 minutes. And I would love to say, I want this dog play too, because I think Antigulov is a very tempting dog play, somebody who I do expect to be played, and a very high ceiling for him. But he's in his 40s, and he's just looking to go get this fight done as soon as possible, versus a guy that's 24, has a very high ceiling in terms of his career in the UFC and his career in fighting, is only going to be getting better, is coming off 2 wins. He's heading upwards, Antigulov heading downwards. Yes, it's in Russia, but this fight's not going the distance, let's be honest. No. And second of all, why would they have any investment in this guy whatsoever? Like, it makes no sense to work this fight. Literally makes no sense. This
I'm not calling
I'm just saying
this one. I just think that he could be able to exploit the grappling.
I'm just turning all my stones, making sure I don't leave any rock unturned here, okay? Everything's scoped out, okay? I think I'm going to go with Mikey O. But Antigulov, if you're playing a GPP, you're playing multiple lineups, you're looking for the definition of a punt, you want this man because you do not have to worry about him not giving his 100% effort. What you do have to worry about is he's only able to give 100% effort for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And unlike Khalil Roundtree, who's young and getting better and training in Las Vegas and improved his cardio deficiencies that we had brought up, this guy is not likely going to patch up any issue unless they got him an EPO, and EPO can only do so much for a 42-year-old man with 1 ACL. So we'll leave it at that.
And finally, we have Magomed Mustafaev taking on Rafael Fiziev. Mustafaev is 8,500 and minus 145 favorite. Fiziev is 7,700 and plus 125. Who you got?
Yeah, Fiziev won't be the underdog for very long, I don't think. So buy him now, roster him up. That's your dog play of the week. He's 5-0. All 5 of his wins been in the first round. So is there a lot to be desired? Yes, this guy looks the part. And against Magomed Mustafaev, I've been away for again nearly 3 years, and seems to be a kind of a stand-up guy himself. If he's gonna give Fiziev a stand-up battle, this is what we want. We want the plus 125. We want the 7,700. Yeah, I've been getting known pretty bad on the first fight on the card recently over the last however many events, but yeah, he should be the better fighter. So obviously for the number of people that don't know Rafael Fiziev was a really good Kyrgyzstan, same place as the Shevchenkos. He was a Kyrgyzstani amateur kickboxer. He's a 4-time Kyrgyzstani national kickboxer, amateur champion, and he's got over 200 amateur kickboxing matches. Turns pro and fights pro Muay Thai, pro kickboxing. I believe he's 29-4. So just an absolute wealth of striking experience. So now he moves to Phuket, Thailand like 3 or 4 years ago. He originally goes to Phuket top team, trains there for a little bit, doesn't quite like it as much. There's a lot more Russians, and he's not quite Russian, but he's Kyrgyzstan, but he feels a lot more at home at Tiger Muay Thai, which the Shevchenkos have also spent time there. So he goes to Tiger Muay Thai. He's one of the lead training partners for both Peter Yan and Mairbek Taysumov. Switches over to MMA, wins his first 5 fights, or I think he's 6 fights, all 6 of them first round finish. 5 of them by knockout. One's a rear naked choke. If you watch that fight, it's only his second pro fight in MMA. He floats on the guy. Like, he gets the takedown and his hips look okay. He takes the guy's back, he rides him, and he gets a submission. He is not even a submission guy, but he knew something. That's a big help here, because I don't want a one-dimensional Muay Thai champion coming out here and getting steamrolled. That's what I do not want. So I take a little bit there. Dana White and co, they say, fuck, this guy looks okay, we want him. So they signed him to fight on Dana White's Contender Series. Unfortunately, same issue that Mairbek Taysumov has, he cannot get a visa to enter the United States. So it cancels his fight on Dana White's Contender Series. But hey, don't you worry, we're coming to Russia and we want you on the card. He had won a fight after the Contender Series fight fell through. He had won one, again, first round knockout, looks really good in the process, now signed to fight in the UFC. He's going to be, I believe, he's going to be the better striker. Now, he's got a bit of a notoriety because, Saenchai, the world-famous Muay Thai fighter, Saenchai's got like that Saenchai dip, right? Where you throw a high kick at his head and he slips back, right? Really, he only really seems to be the guy that utilizes it. High-level Thai guys utilize it. This guy utilizes it. He's got like a full highlight reel online where he's just dodging sweet kicks, like Matrix style. They call him Neo. But beyond that, there's a lot of videos of him in Road FC and whatnot, slipping punches, like his head movement's fucking sick. And that's going to be particularly helpful against Magomed Mustafaev, because in his limited run in the UFC, he just wants to strike. He just wants to strike against Joe Proctor. He just wanted to strike against Piotr Holman. He just wanted to strike against Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee endured a bunch of leg kicks, eventually just took him down and submitted him. But outside of that, he's got a couple submissions on his win years ago. But he seems to want to wing fat hooks and spinning back kicks. And whereas that's going to hurt guys, and that power aggression style can be effective against a guy that's just a better striker than you, and a guy that's particularly a defensive striker, he's going to chew him up. He'll chew him up, tire him out, hit him with something. Then on top of all of that, you have to factor in that Magomed Mustafaev has been off for a fucking time, dude. Like, he has not fought since the Kevin Lee fight, and it wasn't disinterest, it was a plethora of injuries. So you got a guy that's going to have mad ring rust, that may get tired after the first round, who's going to just be winging wild hooks and wild kicks against a precision striker that should be able to get out of the way and return favor. One thing I'm worried about is Fiziev is a little bit small. He's short. He's 5'8", doesn't have a whole lot of reach, but he's calculated. He takes his time. He finds his range. His knees are sick. He's got an okay elbows in the clinch. His overhand right's pretty solid. There's a lot to like about this guy, and he's on his way up. So 125, again, he's my dog play of the week. I'll take him. 7,700. I'll roster him as well.
Let's fucking go.
Let's do this, Paul.
Cody Saftic, ladies and gentlemen. You have anything? Oh, I forgot to say. Shit, I should have said this off the top of the show. You are going to be in Abu Dhabi next week. For the card, yeah. So I'll have to stream it somehow. But I don't want to miss this one. It looks real fun, to be honest. But you will not be here for... But I mean, like, you for next week's card. I will not be here for next week's card, no. We will not be... There will not be an episode of the show next week. I fly back next Saturday. Yeah. And then it'll take me a couple of days to get readjusted. Yeah. But we'll have a show for the one. It's just, Now, again, I would love to figure out a way to Skype it in, but I know you're busy. I know shit's happening. So, like, if for whatever reason we were to miss it. Well, we just don't know that you are going to have a good internet connection. It's Abu Dhabi. They got a lot of money. Like, I can't imagine I'm going to have a You're there for work. I don't know what time of the day you would be available. Like, you know what I mean? Hey, for my dog or bass fans, anything. No, I hear you. Well, then maybe we just say we skip it. But if so...
I'll shoot out a tweet or something.
So we're
can't
not
let it go.
necessarily. Well, the thing is, I actually, frankly,
You busy?
I think I need somebody here to actually switch if you're not here.
Yeah. I totally thought. Yeah, okay, I forgot. Chad Doe, Stack, Drop. I'm kidding. Chad's a good guy. But yeah, no, busy with school. Shout out to him. Yeah, okay, you're a little hogtied here, aren't you? Is what it is.
We're probably not going to have. We're probably not going to have a show next week. But in the off chance that Cody has a great connection and I figure out some things with switching for myself and having a remote guest, maybe just maybe we can pull it through, or maybe we just have a audio podcast that we release and we don't do video next week.
Yeah,
that may actually be the most reasonable.
That
thing.
actually seems like a good way to do it.
We could probably do an audio pod.
Because then we could always just do it like if you're at home, like you don't got to be here to do it.
Yeah. Well, I could.
Because I know the time difference might fuck some stuff up, but
Yeah.
we'll figure it out, dude. We'll figure it out.
We have a lot.
Yeah.
Cody's never been to Abu Dhabi.
No, I have not.
I've never tried to do a show with Cody from Abu Dhabi. I just don't know if the show gets done.
Fair enough.
So be prepared for there to be no show. Hopefully we can pull out some audio for you.
Yep.
Best case scenario all the way around, we have a full-blown show. But be prepared for the worst, people, okay? Be prepared for the worst. Be prepared for there not to be a show next week, which is unfortunate because that Sunrise card, kind of fun. There's actually some real violent fights on it. I'm looking forward to that one. We have Johnny Lineker versus Sandhagen. Hermanson stepping in to take on Jacare. Like, it's in Florida, right? There's so many gyms in Florida.
Yeah,
it's just there's a reason why, even though it's just like a regular TV card or whatever, why it's just stacked. Because
Everyone's close.
people don't want to travel all the distance unless they have to, right?
Of course. Plus, when you go to other cards, it's like, oh, we're in some remote region. Let's get fighters from this remote region to help sell tickets.
Yeah.
When you're in Florida, it's like, who can sell tickets in this area? It's all the best guys in the
It's
world.
like Hard Knocks 365 is right down the road.
Everybody's down
So
there.
is American
Okay.
Top Team. So is there's so many gyms there. So it makes sense why the card is, for a regular card, super, super jacked. Anyway, anything else coming up there, Cody?
No, that's about it. Cookie going to Flambro, so she's going to have her next start on Saturday in the Bs. But if she wins at the Bs, we take her back to the A's. So you got to build her confidence up. She didn't like last week, so.
Yeah, you told me there was she had a hard race.
She had she had a bad hole, like
bad
post
hole.
position.
What's her hole? What's her hole in the Bees here?
She got the 3-hole 9-horse field. So Bees
Is that good?
Ooh, the Bees is a half
Do you
mile
want to be
track.
close to the rail?
Yeah, fuck yeah, always.
That's the
Always.
speed, right?
Yeah, well, think about it.
As long as you're
Think about-
fast out of the gate, you have the inside line and everything.
Think about the Olympics, right? The Olympics, they don't line up all in the same line, right? It's like, oh, you've got the rail, so you're going to start here, and like you've got this lane, so you get to start up there because it's not all the same. So think about the same thing. All these horses are leaving in a straight line. Well, the one horse just has to go in the straight line into the first turn. The second horse is going to follow him into the first turn. This 9-horse, who's on the far end,
has got to
he needs to go twice as fast to get ahead of everybody to get ahead.
to cut them all off and not get caught up in the chaos. Like someone clips like one of their legs on the way in.
Well,
and
that's
so on
not going to
and so forth.
happen. But what happens is you need to now say, let's say you've got this much gas. I'm going to use half of my gas to get to the front from the 9-hole. Your other option is don't leave. Don't try to make front. You're going to end up 9th going into the first turn. But now when it's time to come home, you've got 10 lengths to cover. So it's just like too much. So you got to find that fine balance. So anyway, she's got the 3-hole this time, but Flamboro's a half-mile track and Mohawk's a mile track. So it's going to be a little bit different, but it's way cheaper competition. They only go for like $8,500. Mohawk goes for like 17 grand. So it's cheaper competition, but you got to braven her up. She's an animal, but it's the same mentality as like a fighter. Like you don't want to go get pinged around and finish 5th, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Like you don't want to compete. You want to go out and win. And she has the best chance of winning here. So
Yeah, so it's basically like who we got here? We got she's Sergey Pavlovich.
Just like Antonina Shevchenko, it's like a lot of people are saying she's overrated. We don't know how good she is.
Yeah, but
Let's give her Roxanne Modafferi.
Yeah, let's bring in
and that's a good
Roxanne
test.
Modafferi, see how she build up some of that confidence, get her to the next level. So yeah, we're hoping hoping good things for Cookie. Anything else coming up, or are you good?
Yeah, well, between racing horses, watching fights, and you going to Abu Dhabi, and my best friend's wedding's at the end of the month. So it's just honestly, it's been a really busy time. But all the same, the last two events been brutal for me, man. Like I did my research, I had plays that I liked, and just like has not panned out. Call it whatever you want. I'm not gonna say bad bounce because like a couple weeks prior with Joaquin Christians, with my boy Reyes, It's like, yeah, you get bounces go against you. Guys get clipped, guys gas out, guys, whatever the case may be. Last two events, no good. So this one, let's get back on track, take us into a new month, and make it a good one, old Paul.
I'm not here to gloat or
you had
praise
last week.
myself or
Yeah,
anything.
you had last week. I
We ended
had
up
the other
going
way.
with Cody's.
The other way around.
We ended up going with Cody's lineup, and it didn't go great because I was actually on Adesanya, and these things are so close, right? It's like I had Adesanya and I had Poirier. I was actually more strong about Poirier, to be perfectly honest, and it comes through. So I had three bets on the card. They were Dwight Grant, they were Adesanya, and they were Poirier. I actually absolutely crushed it. Dwight Grant.
But how'd you go? Why'd you decide on Dwight Grant? Which again, bent me over and fucked me. But like, did you watch something that you were like, Dwight Grant's gonna beat this man? I could not.
I was worried about the layoff for Joban.
I was just worried he'd get clipped. But when he didn't get clipped, I was like, and listen, it wasn't a robbery.
I was saying
Joban thought it was a robbery. I thought it was a close fight. This is what close fights look like. Joban wasn't landing shit. He was moving forward. He wasn't landing shit. That's not winning a fight. But if you're Russian in Russia, that is winning a fight. Keep that in mind, folks.
Yes, sir. But yeah, so we kind of had the wrong lineup. We'll make a lineup here probably before you get out the door because this is an early start, so everyone should be ready for the early start from Russia. I believe it starts at like 11 a.m. Don't quote me on that.
And you're going, what you're going to want to do, it sounds crazy, but it's the old insurance policy. You're going to want to set an alarm. Don't wake up and roll over and watch the fights on Saturday morning, which we all love to do, Paul. Don't get me wrong, because one of these motherfuckers might pull out overnight, and you will not have enough time to fix that lineup in the morning. So at least check in an hour before start time and check things out, because you never know what's going to happen at the weights. And the last time they went to Moscow, the Mark Hunt, there was a pile of injuries on that card. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is it for us, though. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you to Cody Saftic for breaking down the fights with me, as always. Yeah, that wraps it up. For Cody, I'm Paul, saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!